Good. Councillors, could I have someone to move to resume standing orders, please? Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. We're now up to 12.2, Coral Skate Park Upgrade Steering Committee. And there is a recommendation there to the Minister Coral Skate Park Upgrade Steering Committee meeting held on the 19th of June 2019 to be noted. Would someone like to move, please? Moved by Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll put it. All in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 12.3 Coral Swimming Pool Advisory Committee. There's a recommendation there that the Minister to move the minutes to the Coral Swimming Pool Advisory Committee held on 8th of July 2019. Can I have a move, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, just following up from that, that was our final meeting of the Coral Pool Committee as such before it goes out to tender. I have spoken to Mr Butler about getting out some recognition to those people that were on that committee, because it's been a fairly long process and they've given up a lot of their time, as well as councillors, which included going on excursions and whatnot in their own time. So, but you'll note in the report there from the last meeting, which was brought to light after there was some preliminary costings done within our budget, and there is an option there to actually put some heating into the 50-metre pool, which wasn't discussed in the interim, and that was basically just to extend it either side. That was brought in by the pool consultant, who said that given that we've got some flat roofs down there on top of the swimming club, that if the tenders come back accordingly when they go out, then there is the opportunity maybe to put that into the 50-metre pool. So a good result. We're now waiting on the tenders to go out, and then I think we've saved ourselves probably 3 months in the development stage, because at that meeting, which Mr Ashford attended in Steve Carmichael's absence, we toyed the idea of lodging the development application concurrently with the tender process, of which we were all made aware that that can happen. So that's probably going to trim 2 to 3 months off the actual timeline. So that everything's running to timeline. So
Excellent. Councillor Whitechurch, and obviously an excellent job chairing that committee, so congratulations to that committee. It's a good position for council to be on and move forward with that project. Any further questions or comments, Councillor Longline?
If I may, through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Whitechurch in regard to continued discussion around construction methodology, and particularly sprayed concrete as a preferred option. Does that mean there'll be tiles will go over the concrete?
Yeah, if I could, just in reply to that, Councillor Longline, we did talk about the spray option, and it's been discussed at length with our project manager as well as the pool consultant, and it's only a certain length pool that you can actually spray. Once you start getting out, you can't continuously spray a 50-metre pool. So whilst that option has been put in there, that's an option available to the tenderer, doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that option. They can form the pool up as such, because there are positives cost-wise to spray the pool, but there are negatives in finding leaks and those sorts of things down the track. So
it's only a small pool.
Yeah. So certainly the 50-metre pool can't be sprayed, but that'll come back to the tender documents, and then we've obviously got that to review and have a look. So
okay, thank
good
you.
question.
Thank you.
But it's still tile that's sprayed.
Yes.
Yeah, still got a surface on. Okay, if there's anything further, if not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. Reports from delegates, verbal reports from delegates. Item number 13.1. Any verbal reports? Councillor Thomas, we'll start with you.
It was exciting to attend National Tree Day on the 2nd of July. It was at the River Street Wetlands, and it was really good to see our local MP, Justin Clancy, there, who was actually experiencing the hands-on learning that was going on with our school children in attendance, and it was a great opportunity for him to talk and work at the same time with those kids. I did 2 radio interviews in regards to the Sloan's Froglet Champion program, and then attended the lunch and the evening held here in Corowa. Now you've got to remember that this is a collaboration between Federation Council, Corowa District Land Care and the Office of Environment and Heritage. And the highlight for all the attendees was going out to Whitehead Street wetlands and actually hearing a Sloane's froglet and then getting to have this great opportunity with this dear little froglet. So that was really good. And you've got to remember this is what they talk about is a National Citizen Science Program, and part of that is a app that you get on the phone, and I encourage you all to get the Frog ID app if you're out and about. And it actually is a really clever app because you can record any frogs that you might hear, and it sets location and also tells you what frog you are listening to. That's modern technology. That's pretty clever. Well, I think it's really clever. So you can, this sound recording can ID for you. The other exciting thing is if you join the Sloane's Froglet Champion program, that the Office of Heritage actually wants, it's like a competition. They have like this internal competition for frog ID, and they'd like to think our area could sit at the top of the competition. Not that we're competitive by any means. Just a little bit of history about the Sloane's Froglet. It was actually identified in 1958 by Murray and Patsy Littlejohn on the banks of the river at Tokemore of the Murray River. And the reason it's called the Sloane's Froglet is because it was named after a fellow called Ian Sloane, which is Patsy's uncle at Savernake Station. So that's your trivia for the day. Look, I really look forward to being part of this project. My aim is to convert our lovely Murray cod that we see at our tourist information centres into a Sloane's Froglet that people can grab and take and learn more about. And there's always the opportunity to learn more to our brochures that have been pulled together as well. So that's exciting for us. And also, as you would be aware, I was delegate at the ALGA conference in Canberra. I'd like to thank Federation Council for giving me that opportunity to attend. And I do believe that some of my fellow councillors were able to attend some water meetings during the last month as well, which I'm really keen to hear about. And in relation to water meetings, there's actually a couple of really key water meetings coming up, and I would really like to consider representing council on those if possible. So one of them is the 2019 Local Government New South Wales Water Management Conference, which will be held in Albury from the 2nd to the 4th of September, and the other one is the MDA Connecting Catchments to Communities in Euston on the 30th of July. But I really would encourage other councils to come on board to put my expression of interest out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Longmire, did you have anything to add to that Sloane's Froglet?
I think
sights and sounds?
unintentionally I've already contributed, Mr Mayor. And I apologise to Councillor Thomas for that opportunity. Unintentionally.
Thank you. Councillor Wales, did you have a...
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I attended the Yarramull Tourism at Yarrawonga and also had the privilege of representing you at the Lions Club changeover at Yarrawonga. It was quite a good evening. But what made it a bit of a plus was that Councillor Thomas's Turban Angels, we talked about, that they had, on the room next door at the Lions Club, they have the Turban Angels, which present all the little dinghies. And I had a bit of tours through the room there, and it's quite interesting the way they have everything set up there, all the machines and their material there. It was quite a good experience from both times, the Lions Club changeover and a bit of a tour through the Turban Angels workshop. So, and I apologise to you, thank you.
And thank you, Councillor Wales, for representing me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sorry, what's the Angels one?
Turban Angels, Mr Butler, it's about a group of people who make beanies for cancer patients, and I had an opportunity to send some out of my sister over to Perth, and Turban Angels, T-U-R-B-A-N.
Turban Angels.
Yeah, they make little beanies for
Make turbans for ladies with cancer.
very dedicated people,
Yeah, excellent. Was there any other delegates' reports? Councillor Longmire?
Yeah, actually Councillor Longley accompanied me. We went to the water meeting at Howlong last week, I think it was, in regard to explanation from Water New South Wales for the opportunity, water sharing is a word. There's some sustainable diversion limits and all sorts of words that you've got to sit there and try and get your head around. Again, I've done the one at Tarulli. But what's happening in real terms is that the allocation of 40-odd thousand megalitres of water that was for the Aquifer 015, which is the Upper Murray aquifer right through, commencing out the road here, Federation Way, as the water sharing has been cut back to 14,000 megalitres. Now, it's an interesting one because they demonstrate, and when they were asked where did the numbers come from, as in the cutback, and there's no science to go with it. And that's interesting because somebody's lobbed there and said this is where it should be. So really when you see the graphs of over a 5-year period, the previous 5 years were the measurements of the water table, up until last year or just before the rain or the last drought, everything's been a requirement where there's the recharge is well and truly able to not get to the top of the limit. And so it's good, and they'll watch it and monitor it. So effectively, they may or may not come back with an opportunity to increase that water allocation. I'm not sure, but really, some of the bigger operators, if we call that, are still wanting to expand, and we're talking between here and Howlong and a little bit above, but certainly in that area. And so it'll be interesting how it unfolds. One of the elephant in the room was obviously compensation, but that's not going to happen. And so it'll be interesting times. But the unique part of Aquifer 015 is the recharge has all sorts of sources, like perhaps from the Murray River. No one can actually put that, once again, on the science of how it refills and recharges. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to go forward with. They're monitoring and that, and there's lots of assumptions how it does recharge. But the other benefit of it is the fact that the higher rainfall in that area, so that you don't need it to irrigate as much. They are double cropping in that area, but if you compare that when you go out to the lesser rainfall areas way out and way out past the Nelliquin, that's in a better spot, obviously. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things that at the moment everybody's watching and waiting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas.
With fellow councillors along my commission, I'd just like to talk to you, give more background, if that's okay. So what's happening with these water sharing plans is that it's an amalgamation of 014, 015 and 016. So they were all underneath state-based legislation. So what is happening is that you've got to remember this is for groundwater, not surface water. And I have noted that Federation Council are putting in a submission to the Murrumbidgee Surface Water Water Sharing Plan. And I'd really like to move a recommendation, whether this is the spot to do it now, is that Federation Council also put in a submission to this new water sharing plan that will encompass 014, 015 and 016. And all those areas do actually occur within Federation Council area. And I don't know whether it'd be something too that you could take to Ramjo, because I know that through the water pillow at Ramjo, that representation has been made through Tony, was it Tony who attended, in terms of actually really looking at the lack of, and I'm going to use lack of in big bold words, lack of robust science that has been presented to us to this day. And this has been a long journey for some of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Yeah, I suppose would you like to reword that recommendation or try and yes. Would you like to add something there, Councillor Thomas, in that the recommendation was to note the reports. Would you like to add a few words to those reports?
I would like to see Council submit, along the same lines as what you've done for the Murrumbidgee Surface Water Sharing Plan. You've made a submission on behalf of Federation Council. I would like to see a similar submission, but obviously doing with the amalgamation of 014, 015 and 016. So you've got to also remember too that we're going from state-based legislation with those individual water sharing plans to a federal-based legislation, and there is actually some really key changes occurring when you get into the nuts and bolts of it. Councillor Longmire has given me the paperwork from that particular meeting in Howlong, and unfortunately we don't have it in chamber because I'm getting it photocopied at the minute, so I'm sorry about that. But there's certainly a lot of solid information out there to actually base your submission on.
Yes, okay. Well, no, we'll note it, with the other reports, that'll be good. So we've got...
you might just put that as groundwater as well, just to clarify that.
Absolutely.
In regards to aquifers,
Or
groundwater aquifers?
This is the other problem that we're finding, and I don't know when I talk to the MDA, is that what we're finding, similar to what Councillor Longmire has just said, is that there's a terminology changes as well.
Aquifers.
So you think about, we've gone, our irrigators have got used to terminology appearing in a state-based legislation, so therefore that terminology is now going to change to align with the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. Councillor Longmire mentioned sustainable diversion limits. Sustainable diversion limits themselves, that terminology does not appear in state-based legislation. So I would really stick to, if you really want to stick with legislation as it sits as we stand here today, it's actually called groundwater management areas. Yeah, so it gets confusing.
Absolutely. We'll just see if we can we've captured some of those words.
Note the verbal reports and make a submission in regards to groundwater aquifers 014, 015 and 016 amalgamation while submitting on the Murray Surface Water Plan.
Water,
And we might
water
change
sharing plan.
Water sharing
plan.
Groundwater
Groundwater.
and surface.
Well, the title I've got it up at the moment.
Murray, Susan's got it up.
Well, let's get to the top of it. The Murray Alluvium Water Resource Plan.
That's it.
Alluvium.
Alluvium. So is it alluvium or alluvial?
Alluvium water. What's the next bit?
Source plan.
Draft Resource Plan.
Water resource plan.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, I think
There as
we'll
well.
leave it just for now.
Yeah.
Any further reports, councillors?
You've got something coming from Ms. Appleyard.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in 2014 there were the water plans that were brought out and they're actually a piece of legislation. And I've just lost it. Environmental Planning and Assessment Act. No, there's a whole suite of legislation that governs groundwater, surface water that's been in place since 2014. Now, I personally didn't know that was sitting there. I did some legal searches on it recently and it wasn't adopted for a number of years, but it's dated from 2014. And they've decided that. So there's a heap of confusion surrounding all of this documentation.
And we have flagged it with the MDA in the past as well.
Okay. We've got those notes there to pull back on. Any further reports, delegates? If not, I've just got one that I'd like to flag myself. I've had a conversation, got a phone call from Justin Clancy approximately a week and a half ago, and it was in relation to, there was two trains travelling from Albury to Borey Creek in honour of Tim Fisher. One's a steam train and the other one's a locomotive, with approximately 250 people on board. It came up at Borey Creek that the lady at the hotel brought up, it would be nice to do something for Tim on that particular day. So, with conversations with the general manager and various people, Tim Fisher's wife and sisters, I looked into renaming the park, naming the park at Borey Creek, which it hasn't been named after anyway. It's just a community park. Maybe it's called Borey Creek Community Park. Maybe renaming that the Tim Fisher Community Park in his honour. So when they get off the train, they'll come to the park. We'll get a sign made for the day and unveil that in his honour. And the other thing was that the family wanted to put some money into, if it came to fruition, was a solo painting. That has been bandied around that area as well. Looked at certain solo paintings that had happened up north around about that $30,000. The Fisher family wanted to contribute funds. We're looking at working with the National Party to put money in as well. But that's going to be an ongoing process because I've contacted GrainCorp to try and open the gateway to first of all put the painting there and then move that on through council later. So I'm not after any endorsement today in relation to solo painting, but bearing in mind the idea is there, and I'll try and push forward, and if I can get something solid on that, I'll bring that back to council. But what I after today is endorsement of renaming that park at Borey Creek the Tim Fisher Community Park and opening that on Sunday. It's all been very short notice, but I think short notice is very important at the moment with the state of his health. what's happened is there was 2 trains. I think it's back to 1 now because he probably won't be. Well, I think there was a problem with the train, but I think he's probably going to travel on 1 anyway because he's probably not fit enough to make the journey twice. So that is Sunday, if it's endorsed by council. I was planning to be there around about 12 o'clock and have it all set up for an opening. And of course, with as many Federation councils or staff that can make it, I realise it's a weekend, it's hard to do at times. With a few speeches and just an official opening to recognise his contribution to the area and Australia. So I'd like to put something in words there and see if we can get council's endorsement. You'll endorse it? And I might, if it's okay, I might just move them as a block, those notes.
So point 3 for the delegate.
Point 3, yeah. And
The council endorse the naming of the Boree Creek Community Park to
the Tim Fisher Community Park.
and that suitable arrangements be made to reflect this. For an event, is it next Sunday?
On this coming Sunday.
Sunday the 23rd.
Sorry.
The 23rd.
Sunday, 23rd.
21st. Isn't it?
21st. Okay. And so they'll get off the train, walk through the park. We'll open the park, and then they'll go and have lunch at the hotel, like everyone's having lunch there. So
At the park.
and I'm sure everyone's
At
welcome
the park.
to be involved in that if they wish to be. But it's all just happened spur of the moment, but it's good to make it happen. So regardless. So I think you've got a mover there and a seconder, which is the mover Councillor Longley, and the seconder was Councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors, or anything you could add to that? Councillor Longley.
A comment, it's certainly a worthy cause, Mr Mayor, but it probably makes it more important now that the irrigation project that we've talked about for a while, that we'll probably bring that forward too, to give the park a look deserving of a champion.
Absolutely, Councillor Longley, and it's a good step in the right direction to do some more work on that park for sure. If there's nothing else, I'll put that, if we got that second one, the council endorsed the name of the Boree Creek Park to the Tim Fisher Community Park, and suitable arrangements be made to reflect this for an event on Sunday the 21st of July. I'll put it all in favour. Against? Carried. Okay, so we are now moving on to correspondence. We've got the Marwala Progress Association rate freeze. Feel free to make any questions or comments, Councillor Thomas.
There's probably a question without notice to Ms. Shannon. In that particular letter, they mentioned the November meeting, and our previous director and as council, we also supported an expression of interest to go out for a rate review committee to be formed. I was just looking to follow up on that rate review committee and when the expression of interest could go out.
Yeah, so I'm happy to take that question. Councillor Thomas, that's correct, and the process with the engaging of the firm to do that rates harmonisation process would be where we'd see that fitting in.
And I apologise, I'll get a mover and a seconder, and then I might move them in a block if you don't mind. Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Now we'll just move on to the Murray-Darling Association. Any questions, Councillor Thomas?
We all have actually received all this great information, and some of us sitting in the room have been very privileged to attend a Murray-Darling Association in Echuca. And from that, I really feel that as an LGA who are a member of the MDA, is that it's our job to promote, especially to our rural counterparts within our shire, the important role and relationship that council has with the MDA, because they are our advocate to the Murray-Darling Basin Association. So especially in terms of, you know, some of the really key issues that are appearing in the water space at the minute, I think it would be a great idea if we can get these brochures and these pamphlets out to some of our key irrigation industry peak bodies to let them know that we are working, we are the on the ground link between the MDA and the basin authority. So I don't know whether we could get Emma in the room, who is the CEO, and invite some of our key peak bodies along, or whether we looked at it at a RAMJO level, just to really, you know, say we are advocating on your behalf if you have issues arising in the water sphere.
Definitely, and that has really been working on a RAMJO level in the past. Would you prefer to leave it at, well, RAMJO level, or individually do something with this council? Is that what you're thinking?
I suppose I need to have a clearer alignment on how that works and how we would do that on a RAMJO level.
Oh, okay, yes. Would you have a comment, Mr. Butler, on that?
Yeah, I raised that issue about, well, more broadly about the JOs and realigning the MDA zones to be part of the regions, to be part of the JOs. And I think it's just losing a bit of traction, and especially because you've got South Australia and the other states that don't have. So we did have another strategic advisory group meeting just the other day, and those minutes are going up to the board fairly soon, but I think we just need to make sure we keep working on that, otherwise it doesn't seem to be moving far enough as far as I'm concerned, or fast enough.
Yeah,
Something we can raise at the next, like our next region meeting.
Yeah,
I don't know when.
and get more support from other councils as well. Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to the, we've got the essential energy. Sorry, Councillor Longman.
If I may, just
of
further to
course.
the comment that Councillor Thomas made in regard to the climate at the moment is ready for, you know, for support in the water change and mechanism for everybody. And I think what was the, because it's a volunteer membership, I was just trying to think what the membership was when we went to Moama representing council. Was it 50% of eligible councils?
140 odd councils, or?
But there was only 72. The numbers might be there.
I think it's far less than 50% if you looked at the whole state, like between all the basin LGAs.
67.
Yeah, so it'd be good if through the RAMJO opportunity, you know, this is pursued, because the water is a hot topic at the moment.
And just on the JO boundaries, the comment I just remembered clearly coming out from Emma was that the feeling at that stage was that they wanted to have more relevance, and probably all this drive that they're on now to try and have more relevance to local government, with a view then to try and, you know, realign zone or region boundaries. But I think, you know, that's one way you could do it, or you could do it the other way. You could actually realign it all and have the idea that we'd thought of was at the JO meetings, you could then have, you could follow on while at the same day, the same people in the room and talk about MDA matters, and that would then drive the relevance from the other way around, instead of trying to get all relevant and then reshape itself. I think it needs to reshape before they can become more relevant.
Yeah, you think about if we were able to have MDA in the room, sitting alongside, thinking that we could do some co-work with our neighbouring councils, you know, Collie Amberley Irrigation, West Karugan, possibly get the, you know, the fellows over from Jamilican, Murray Irrigation. You know, if they could sit in the room with the MDA and have opportunity to have that conversation, and whether that's done through RAMJO or not, I'm not really sure.
Definitely. Okay, if there's no further comment on that one, I'll move to Essential Energy. Just letting us know that they're downsizing their staff in the next 12 months. And then we'll move on to 14.4, the Miranda Community Committee just reviewed their rates and set their rates for their backgrounds, etc. So there's a recommendation there that the correspondence is tabled, as per business paper, the council provide a response to be provided to my Wildlife Progress Association, we've covered that, and the council endorse the following fees. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried. No confidential items, and I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much, councillors and staff.
Very good.
Yeah.
The plan now is to move to Helen.
Yeah, so we have got a little bit of time before we have to get out there. Is lunch 12:30? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.